Hey there, and welcome to a brand new series. This is a Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead challenge run, with the challenge being for me to earn as many achievements and maintain as many conducts as possible on a single character. I'll get into what that entails in a little bit, but for now I'm going to be running through the details of the very strange character I've created to handle this very strange task. There will be no actual gameplay in this first episode, this is purely to explain the challenge and the character. For starting scenario, I've selected Mist, a 0-point cost start where the character begins the Cataclysm at one of several residential or commercial buildings, normally in the middle of a city. I'm going to be exploiting this by choosing specifically to start at one of the best spawn locations in the game, the Golf Course Clubhouse. The golf course is not actually in a city, and is usually isolated out in the wilderness or on the outskirts of a city at worst, which make it much safer than other starting locations with this scenario. It also contains a couple very useful items and often has vehicle spawns nearby. In my opinion, any working vehicle instantly brings a character to mid-game progression due to how much more mobile and survivable they make you. So even if I have to roll around in a golf cart for the first couple hours, it's still a vast improvement over walking. Finally, the golf course usually has no zombies nearby, and is always stocked with a large number of mostly passive animals, which is vital for an achievement we need to get at the very beginning of the challenge. My starting profession will be police officer. It starts with a 45 caliber handgun with a reasonable amount of ammo, a police belt and army pants with plenty of pockets for small items that I need to carry on me, and 3 skill points in both the marksmanship and handgun skills, all for the cost of 2 character build points. As a bonus, it comes with the police officer trait and a deputy badge, which when combined prevent police robots from being called on my character because they identify me as law enforcement. For hobbies, I'm starting with addictions to nicotine, sleeping pills, and caffeine. Each of these addictions refunds me some character points to spend elsewhere, and all 3 of them are minor addictions that shouldn't weaken my character too much. Sleeping pill addiction makes it slightly harder to fall asleep, and nicotine and caffeine addictions only cause morale penalties, and don't ruin my character's movement speed or coordination like addictions to hard drugs do. If I get through the first few days without partaking in any of these substances, I'll kick the addictions and have earned myself some essentially free character build points. Caffeine addiction also adds the stimulant psychosis trait to my character, which allows me to handle more stimulants but induces hallucinations if I overindulge. The gameplay benefits of stimulants are extremely minor, so I'm confident I can just ignore this trait completely. As for my other hobbies, I've taken parkour, book hater, nomadic, and vegetarian. Parkour is a proficiency that allows a character to ignore the movement cost penalty of most furniture and rough terrain, making it easy to traverse as flat ground while still slowing down monsters. Because parkour proficiency can't be learned during gameplay right now, I figured taking it at character creation would improve my options for combat and escaping danger. Book hater makes my character lose morale faster from boring books and never gain morale even from enjoyable books. This is free points because I won't be reading books with this character at all. Nomadic gives me the nomad trait, which causes me to start losing morale if I stay in the same area of the world for too long. This challenge is going to be very mobile and long-reaching by necessity, so this should be free points. Finally, vegetarian gives me the meat intolerance trait, which is fine because I'm not allowing this character to eat meat anyway. For stats, I ultimately went with 11 strength, 8 dexterity, 10 intelligence, and 8 perception. Nothing too crazy, I focused on strength for more hit points and melee damage, and intelligence to improve my chances at computer hacking. For positive traits, not including the ones I get from my hobbies, I took Fast Learner so I can level up all my skills faster, Indefatigable for more stamina, Masochist to make a specific achievement a lot easier, Robust Genetics to make mutations easier to manipulate, and Sweet Tooth because I'm going to be eating a lot of junk food due to my dietary restrictions, so I might as well get some extra morale out of them. My negative traits to refund some character points are fast metabolism, which makes me require more food but gives me the benefit of regenerating stamina a little faster, lactose intolerance because I'm not eating dairy anyway, farsighted and nearsighted because glasses and contacts are easy enough to find, slow reader because, again, I'm not going to read books anyway, ugly because I don't need to interact with NPCs that much, and the few times I do, my social skills should be strong enough even with the ugly debuff to get what I want, and weak stomach because all it does is make me more likely to throw up, and that's not a big deal. Finally, I put some points manually into skills to make some things a little easier for myself. There are achievements in the game for getting all skills to 7 and then 10, and some skills are really, really hard to get that high. Starting with level 4 computers allows me to train up to level 5 after I find a laptop, which with 10 intelligence gives me a reasonable chance to successfully hack most computers in the game, and puts me close to the point where I can bootstrap my computer skill up to 10 as soon as I find the right item. Starting with 2 social for a similar reason, it unlocks a crafting recipe to level up to 3 social when I find the right item. After that, leveling up social is going to be suffering, but I'll have at least some skills under my belt to help me convince NPCs to join me as companions. And that's the basics of the character. We are Hunter Cheevo, a male police officer standing at 180 centimeters, 28 years old, O-negative blood type, with green eyes, long brown hair, a rosy skin tone, and a walrus mustache. Like I said, a very strange person taken all together, but one who's about as well equipped as I could get to the task ahead of us. Speaking of that task, here's the lowdown on what we're actually going to need to accomplish. Back in April 2020, the framework for trackable achievements was added to the game, and more were added up until about a year ago, where no meaningful contributions have been made to them except to add achievements related to new mutation categories. The collective response I've seen from the community about achievements is pretty much, interesting anyway, at best, to how do I disable these pop-ups, I literally do not care, at worst. I just wanted to challenge myself to push this mostly ignored system to its limits, and potentially examine some flaws that may exist within it along the way. And hey, it's an excuse to finally play a character for an entire in-game year. Achievements are split into two categories: achievements, which you need to earn by doing certain stuff, and conducts, which are all unlocked at the beginning of the game and instead need to be maintained by not doing certain stuff. I'm going to be earning as many achievements as possible while maintaining as many conducts as possible. However, there are many cases where these directly conflict. For example, there are pacifist conducts for not attacking or killing anything, and there are many achievements that require you to kill many things. There is a conduct for never cutting down trees, and no less than 3 tree cutting related achievements. In cases like this, I've decided that achievements will take priority over conducts, and as a result, I'm going to fail most of the conducts, but there are still a few that don't need to be violated, and will add interesting restrictions to the character while I survive and accomplish my other tasks. A full list of the achievements and conducts will be linked in the description, but here are the highlights. There are many kill achievements, the ultimate one being to kill 100,000 creatures in total. Survive for 365 days. That's a long time to play one character, but it gives us plenty of time to get all those kills. Kill something within the first in-game minute of a new game. This is the reason I'm starting at the golf course with animals all around. Reach Z level 10 and Z level negative 10, as well as reach Z level negative 5 while swimming. Fortunately, there are structures tall enough that I can get to the highest Z level without too much effort, and I can always dig down into the earth myself to get to the bottom of the map. Swimming at a negative 5 Z level is tough. There's only one specific location I know of that has deep water that far below ground, but it is possible. Find and wear heavy power armor. I already know this one is going to suck due to the extremely limited spawn locations. Back in the day, you could find these at scientist body sites if you were lucky, but as far as I know, they now only have a chance to spawn inside caves, and then only in one specific layout of the caves, guarded by a reasonably annoying boss, and you're not even guaranteed to get that specific item. Maybe I can convince some contributor to add power armor to logistics buildings or something over the course of the challenge. Otherwise, hey, the game world's infinite. Technically, I'll find it eventually. After surviving for 91 days, return to the spot where you started the game. This one's kinda cool and not difficult as long as I remember where I started. Cut down 1,000 trees. Very compelling gameplay there. Dig up 10 graves and bury 100 corpses. Unfortunately, I can't dig up graves that I've buried myself, but this is again more tedious than difficult. Maybe I'll find some buried treasure while I'm at it. Install 10 CBMs and cross a mutation threshold. There are separate achievements for every mutation threshold flavor, but there's no going back from the first one, so as soon as I cross one threshold, I'm locked out of all the rest. Break both arms and both legs. Not necessarily at the same time, you just have to break all 4 limbs at some point over the course of your character's life. Instead of letting enemies mangle me, I'm going to inflict this upon myself in a safe and controlled environment where I can splint and recover the limbs one at a time. This is the entire reason I took the Masochist trait. Masochist gives your character the unique ability to self-harm for fun, and you can use this to the point of completely emptying your limb hit points and breaking them. And finally, there are achievements for reaching level 7 in every skill and level 10 in every skill. These constitute the biggest headache during character planning, and with the options currently available in the vanilla game, there are some that are literally impossible to get to 10. Even though I can't read any books, I can still get all of them to 7 and most of them to 10. And the conducts that I can actually maintain, because they don't conflict with the achievements, are the following. Mouse in a china shop. Never use the smash function to break terrain. This means no breaking windows, no smashing furniture apart, no tearing down spider webs, and no pulping corpses. This limits my movement a decent amount and also requires me to chop up zombie corpses to prevent them from reviving. However, if I get an NPC companion, they can pulp corpses for me while I keep my hands clean. Merciful. Don't kill any NPCs. I need to kill monsters for several achievements, but I can at least keep my hands clean of human blood. Self-imposed illiteracy. Don't read any books. This is probably the most significant conduct, and I thought I might be able to ignore it if I need books to earn certain skill point achievements, but through my testing I found that none of the skill level achievements are gated by books, so I'm obliged to maintain this conduct. I will fail the conduct if I even skim the books to access the crafting recipes they maintain, which means I'm stuck with crafting recipes that are automatically learned as I level up my skills, the only workaround being random recipes that I download from memory cards. Finally, vegetarian and vegan. Don't eat anything containing meat, milk, or eggs. Not too bad, especially since the game plainly spells out which ingredients are considered a part of any food item you can eat. Most of my options are at default simply because that's how I like to play this game. I've enabled the experimental 3D field of view so I can see monsters that are on levels above and below me and they can see me back. And I've disabled skill rust because I need to get all my character's skills really high and I don't enjoy suffering quite that much. Finally, I've removed the key binding for the smash command so that I can't even do it by accident by hitting the S key. The only mod I have installed on this world is the alternative map key because I find it easier to read the overmap with it. It doesn't affect gameplay at all, so I'm essentially playing vanilla Cataclysm DDA with the exception of the previously mentioned option changes. The game version I'm running is A37D197, the build released on November 1st. There is a very specific reason I'm running this version, and depending on how things progress with game development, I may try to update the world to a newer version later on in the run. That can be dangerous for the safety of my game files though, so I won't touch that update button unless it makes parts of my challenge that are currently impossible become possible or significantly easier for me. That's about all the setup stuff. Join me in the next video as we take our first steps into the Cataclysm.